including the energy regulator Ofgem has announced a reduction in the energy price cap of 7%, which will come into force from July. The cap limits the cost per unit of electricity and gas. The average bill will fall by around £122. Now, no one is going to suggest that this isn't good news, but is it enough? UK consumers have built up, get this, an estimated £3 billion worth of debt to energy suppliers. Let's speak to Matt Dronfield, who is from the charity Debt Free Advice. Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
That is a phenomenal amount of money, that £3 billion. Now, is that since the big increases that we've seen when the war in Ukraine started, or were we already starting to pick up big debts due to energy prices before that?
They were, yes, but since the war in Ukraine, that has increased considerably, as you say, to £3 billion in energy debt. Now, we've been supporting 24,000 customers a year for the last 18 years, and our advisors have never seen it so bad. Customers turning to Debt Free Advice have actually seen a 37% increase in their energy debts since just 2002. And even if we look at this year, we've seen nearly a 50% rise in the number of incoming inquiries to our free advice service. So it's still really, really worrying.
And what advice do you give people when they say, my energy bills are spiralling out of control, I can't afford it?
Yeah, so everyone's situation is different, especially in the locations that they live. There may be trusts available to help support the costs of those bills, and our advice is always tailored to that individual. Because as much as today's news is good, and it's of the average household, it's a decrease of about £122 a year. That is only about £12.20 a month for the average household. So it's not going to radically change your ability to spend on other areas that we've seen massive increases in shopping as well. So it's important that people do seek that free and impartial advice that tailored specifically to their need. The other thing to highlight is that's the average household cost. So your usage will vary household to household, and if you use more energy, your bills could be higher or lower than these average prices that are being quoted in the press today.
You mentioned there, obviously, it's not just energy prices, food prices, interest rates, lots of different things have gone up as well. If you do find yourself getting into debt, can you manage that? Presumably the sooner you start to deal with it, it's more manageable. But is there a way of kind of living with perhaps some debt, but certainly not building up any more?
Yeah, so most people have got debt, right? If that's a mortgage or a credit card statement, you might have a loan for a vehicle that you need to take to work. The majority of people have got debt in some form. What's important is that the debt that you have is manageable and repayable within your lifestyle. What we say is when that debt accumulates, and that's what we've seen in the last few years with the cost of living crisis, people have been unable to meet their commitments because your mortgage has gone up so much, your rent has gone up so much, and then you've not been able to afford to put food on the dinner table in the evening. It's been unbearable for so many families. Our service has always been free, and my advice to anybody listening right now is that don't panic. Take a really big breath. Debt is so common. We know from research we've done, you're more likely to tell your pet than your partner or loved one about your financial situation that you're in. Seek free confidential advice. You can find it locally, face-to-face provision from the Money and Pensions website, or if you don't want to do that, you can contact my team that are open from 8 till 8, 7 days a week, and we're a charity. The advice is always free and confidential. The team are available on 0800 808 5700, or you can start a video chat as well if it's complicated with the letters that you've got from your energy providers at debtfreeadvice.com/video.
When it comes to keeping your energy prices down, and we've been asking earlier on from someone from Uswitch, now while prices are at their lowest they've been for a couple of years, is now a good time to sort of fix a price and maybe think about that for the future. We're asking everybody, are you a bill switcher? With your knowledge of an understanding of money and finances, Matt, are you a bill switcher? Are you someone who makes the time to make sure that you're switching and changing so that you're always on top of it?
Do you know what? Until this cost of living crisis, I was always a bill switcher. It's been so frustrating that there's been no competitive rates to be able to switch to. Yes, even most recently, my broadband was about to go up by nearly 100. It was even going to double in cost. And so when I rang my provider, I told them of a alternative provider that was offering it at pretty much what I was paying, and they agreed to match. So it's always worth negotiating when your renewal date comes around, or there's an option potentially to fix in a locked rate that's cheaper.
Listen, thank you so much for your time today. Really interesting to speak to you. That's Matt Dronfield there from Debt Free Advice, talking about being in debt. If you find yourself in that situation, then do get advice, get help, because it is there.